Do you know, I always wanted to be an artist. And my mother said, well, that's lovely, dear. You know, your father frames everything, but I really think you should get a proper job. And so it was that I put away the brushes and that wonderful dress-up box, and off I went nursing for 16 years, 16 wonderful years in leadership and educational roles. And a pivotal moment for me was actually day one. My very first day in the hospital, I bed-bathed my very first male patient, a man by the name of Bob Hall. A construction crane had fallen on him, and he actually had 35 broken bones. He'd literally been flattened. They stood around him in casualty and said, he's not going to make it. But 4 hours later, Bob was still alive, and so they risked taking him to theatre. Very worried, actually, that he might die on the table. But he didn't die on the table. And as they were trolling him back to the recovery ward, the conversation shifted again. And they said, well, poor beggar, he's probably going to be a vegetable. Bob woke up pretty quickly in recovery and revealed indeed he wasn't a vegetable. And so the conversation changed again. And this time they said, well, he's never going to walk again. Bob Hall was in hospital the whole 3 years of my general nurse training. I saw Bob Hall every day that I was on duty, whether I was on his floor or not. And to my great joy, Bob walked on 2 sticks to my graduation ceremony and stood up the back of the room. I was a bit worried about what was going to come because my mother was actually sitting down the front. When the ceremony proper was over, he stood up and waved one of those sticks and said, I've actually got something to say. As he came forward, he had this big scroll and he started opening it out and reading off all the tricks and pranks I used to play on him over those 3 years. Every now and again, my poor mother in the front row would say, oh, for goodness sake, Patricia, you didn't. Then he turned to me at the end and he said, you don't know what you did. And I never really got that until 2001. When I left nursing, I started my own production company, producing commercials and freelancing for the news and 60 Minutes. Yes, nurses do funny things when they leave their profession. It was here, though, that my journey with the performing arts began, a real marriage of my compassion and my creativity. I'm no stranger to grief and loss, though. I lost my first child. I am a cancer survivor. I told myself I was resilient thousands of times, and so I am. I was a victim of a violent marriage for 3 years, lost my home and business twice over a 4-year period, relocated to another country, repaid $80,000 in 2 years. I think there's a book in that. I had 10 car accidents in an 18-month period. Yes, they were about 6 weeks apart. And honestly, none of them were my fault. My second partner of 20 years left with another woman. And all through this period, my family did not speak. It was over 25 years. So rather than succumb to depression and be medicated, I looked for another way. I asked for support to move through my grief. And for the last 16 years, I've been teaching people to go for the jocular, not the jugular.